We're now catching up with our good buddy Roger Wallace. Fixed up some audio issues during the break there. First off, Roger, let's get your opinion here. Obviously, you've known the SEC, you've been around this conference, you know Arkansas and this football team. What was your initial reaction there to Arkansas firing Sam Pittman?
Well, honestly, my brother's a Notre Dame grad. On that last touchdown of the half, I texted, I don't know if he can survive this. And it wasn't, 42.5 is bad, but the way Arkansas defended that last touchdown after the turnover and then the reactions around the stadium, he's been at best a 500 coach. His win was against Texas back in Sark's first year, and they really manhandled Texas in that game. And that was kind of Sark's moment to realize that we don't have SEC interior linemen on either side of the ball. But yeah, it wasn't surprised. Look at guys, quick trigger, right? In all Power 4 conferences now, there's an opening, and we're still a couple of days away from October 1st. So that one was bad for so many reasons. National TV, first time Notre Dame's ever been there, and they just, they look like they lost a little interest on defense, getting run over by that Notre Dame team.
Yeah, absolutely. And now they'll have a new coach for that matchup there against Texas. Speaking of Texas, the guys were off this past week and having a chance to really recalibrate the first few games of the season. How did this team handle the bye week? Some coaches do a little bit differently, where they take that first week and have them not practice at all, and then come back and go a little harder the second week. Sometimes it's vice versa. What was the bye week like there in Austin?
They practiced last week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, fairly normal, probably more reps for the younger guys. And then off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, came back this morning and got into their normal week. Sark talked about, he said we could hear him in practice today, and that was good. That energy, that urgency he wanted to see coming back. Obviously, they're getting after it now with 3 or 4 straight road games, 3 true road games, and the Oklahoma game in the month of October. So I think he's hoping that they can take what they did with Sam Houston, realizing the competition goes way up, but just the fact that his team looked like what he wanted to see them, and translate it into this month and try to get on a little bit of a roll here.
Texas came in as the #1 team in the nation, and we've seen a bit of an up and down, but it seems like the last game, as you mentioned, the Sam Houston game, it was up again, and they scored 55 points there. Now coming into the SEC, going up against Florida, a hungry Florida team that has looked good in spurts, but obviously not the season they have wanted. What's the overall take about the way Texas is now going to handle SEC play as the competition ratchets up?
Well, I think everyone left that game at Ohio State going disappointing. Thought there were chances to win the game, but not the worst thing in the world to lose on the road to #1, or now the #1, but the defending champs, et cetera. And then they took care of San Jose State, and you're like, okay, we saw some good things, even though it was just a spurt of offense and defense that really put that game away. And then the big questions came in the UTEP game: what happened to the offense? What's going on with Arch? And then Sam Houston's a winless team. So while everything looked clean, I think basically we're kind of right where we thought they would be after the Ohio State game. Okay, let's see what they can do in this stretch in October, starting at Florida, regardless of what Florida's done. And Sark has pointed out, look at their last 3 ball games, played really good teams to a Miami team that maybe is an outstanding team. Their problems all seem to be pretty consistent on the offensive end. Sark very concerned about that Florida defense. And, it's kind of one of those things where you go, we don't want to be the team when they figure it out.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure he's thinking that very well could be Saturday afternoon after they had a bye week as well.
If you're Texas right now, if you're Ohio State right now, you're almost everybody's Super Bowl. You're almost everybody's big game, the one that they all get up for. I expect the Swamp to be unbelievably enthusiastic and energized. What's the overall message as you do go into hostile environment in the SEC, knowing, like you said, that you don't want to be the team where they figured it out, or you don't want to be the team where the outside noise kind of gets to you? What's that like internally for this football team as they go to a place like the Swamp that has this legendary status across college football?
Yeah, and I think that's where the Ohio State game will help them, not because, that was a month ago. These are, it's a team that kind of evolves, but what you're talking about the atmosphere, the hype, the mystique of that stadium. They went to the Horseshoe. They watched them unfurl the banner for the national championship. They saw Lee Corso put on the mascot head for the final. I mean, they saw it all.
Yeah.
It was the perfect storm. So in that regard, this won't be anything that has their eyes wide open, but it's going to be different just because it's a different place, different fan base, and a different time in the season. They've had a really good road record, 11 straight road wins prior to the Ohio State game. They won at Alabama a couple of years ago. Last year, they won at Texas A&M. They won at Arkansas. Arkansas gave them a really good game. So in that regard, I think they're well equipped. Question is, can their offense do enough? Can they, exploit Florida enough defensively and then keep Florida's offense from finding some rhythm and finding some explosive plays? DJ Lagway, assuming he's healthy, and we think he is despite the reports that he was in a boot, playing against the team from his home state. Sark recruited him. Seems like we tell that story with every quarterback they face at a Power 5. But anyway, yeah, that it's all that. And then, if they get down 14-0 or something, then you kind of wonder, okay, how are they going to handle this? Ohio State was one thing, but this place now, the lid might come off because of all the frustration in Gainesville as well.
Roger, all the eyes have been around Arch Manning this whole season, not the start that he wanted. It seemed like he bounced back against Sam Houston. Do you think Texas being off this past week is going to hurt Arch Manning's momentum, or do you think it's going to help him gain some more?
Yeah, that's interesting because, you're right. He probably wanted to get right back out there and play after finally having some good feelings. But I think he's realistic, too. He knows it's going to be a much different animal that they're facing on Saturday than Sam Houston. So I think he probably realized that the bye came at a good time for a lot of reasons. One, he may get some big weapons back in Quintravian Wisner and possibly C.J. Baxter. So those would have been their 1 and 2 running backs. Haven't had them for a few weeks. We don't know about Emmett Mosley, the wide receiver transfer from Stanford. Probably not. But as Sark was asked about injuries today, he said, hey, I love the SEC availability report that comes out starting on Wednesday, because he didn't have to address it. Address it for him. So, so I think obviously he's going to be happy about getting weapons back in the backfield. So I don't think he was so caught up in what he did against Sam Houston as far as, keeping that momentum going, as much as getting some rest, a little extra time as they get set for this stretch.
You called it spot on in the first game of the season, played Ohio State, and then you said they get to hide for a few weeks there because they had 3 teams that was not going to generate a lot of national interest, and then the bye week. Is there a sense for this team to almost reintroduce themselves back to the state of college football, knowing that your casual fans and parts unknown across the United States really haven't paid attention to Texas over the last few weeks of the season? Is there an element of, hey, let's show everybody who we are again after these first 3 weeks?
No question. I mean, and again, forget Florida's record. It's Florida. It's the SEC opener. It's going to have a big audience on Saturday afternoon. It's 2 huge brands on the helmet, Texas and Florida. I will say, though, they have gotten a little attention, and it's not surprising. What was the attention? Arch's struggle against UTEP and Arch's reaction to his touchdown against Sam Houston. So all that was, kind of either with the UTEP, it was, wow, there's some concern, or with the touchdown celebration, kind of rolling their eyes. Okay, great. You ran over Sam Houston and scored a touchdown. So, yeah, the attention of those 2 moments is pretty much all it's been the last 3 weeks. So, no question, if they go down to Florida, take care of business, they're sitting at 9. Not that matters, but people notice numbers by names when the scores come up. Yes, then all of a sudden you go to Oklahoma, matchup a week from Saturday in the Cotton Bowl with a much different kind of feeling and maybe perception around the country of this team. Or if things don't go well, then people are going to go, okay, is this going to be the October slide?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you teed up this perfectly about the Oklahoma game, and I'm interested in the way that Texas will handle the Florida week with Oklahoma coming up. Do you think that they play a little bit more conservatively in the swamp and not really show their hand the way that they've had to do over these last 3 weeks, just kind of not show their hand, play more of a vanilla style, or is it full throttle, full force?
The only way I could see that is if they jump on Florida and have the game in hand, but that just doesn't seem realistic on the road against a good defensive team. No, I don't think so. And the other thing is Oklahoma knows Texas. Texas knows Oklahoma. The names change, but the coordinators, Oklahoma obviously has a new offensive coordinator, so it's more so Texas figuring out Oklahoma. Will it be John Mateer? Will it be Michael Hawkins like they saw last year? But no, I think Sark is locked in on find a way to get out of Gainesville with a win and then start all over again Saturday night, Sunday morning with Oklahoma.
Speaking of Oklahoma, obviously you got a chance to watch the rivals from up north over the last few weeks. What do you make of what the Sooners are doing and kind of answering the call? But as you mentioned, John Mateer now out of that football game, and Michael Hawkins will be able to play in the Red River rivalry once again.
Well, it's funny because my first thought about Mateer was Baker Mayfield. Fiery, tough. He'll run the ball. He'll give up his body. He seems to make them go so much faster. All the things that Mayfield did. Mayfield, of course, played at Texas Tech, and Texas had their way with him in Oklahoma. They split those two ball games, but it's the defense, guys. I mean, that was Texas went up and down the field last year and 3 years ago against Oklahoma, and even 2 years ago they went up and down the field. It's just Oklahoma did the same thing. But the way they handled Auburn, now we know Auburn has some offensive deficiencies, but that front seven for Oklahoma looks different than it has the last few years, and I'm sure that's the first thing that jumps off the tape for Sark and that Texas staff as well.
Absolutely. Roger, thank you so much for your time here on Southeast Sports Plus. I know it's going to be a really interesting matchup. Last thing before we leave you, what do you make of the line? It's only a 6.5. It opened at 7.5, and now Texas is a 6.5 point favorite. Do you think that's just to bait more money on the Florida side or on the Texas side, or do you think that there's something to a slim line considering where these two teams are?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know what they would look at to make it move by 1 point. I don't know if it has to do with some injuries people know about. Nothing from the Texas end should surprise people on the health front. But I'm sure, 6, 7, that's still this Texas team has yet to prove itself other than playing Ohio State close. So in that regard, I think it's probably right about where it should be for a road game SEC opener. And again, I think Florida at some point will figure it out. Question is, will it be on Saturday? And how good is this Texas defense? They kept the training wheels on Julian Sayin, and he did just enough. Now we see he's pretty good quarterback, even though he's as young as he is. And the other 3 teams were just overmatched. And so we'll see as much about this Texas defense on Saturday, to me, as about Arch Manning and the offense.
Absolutely. Roger, you're the best. Thank you so much for joining us here on Southeast Sports Plus. Got a little respite last week and then now into SEC play this week. Thanks again.
Right on, guys. Thanks, guys.